Support for Arkansas Week provided by the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, the Arkansas Times, and Little Rock Public Radio.
I'm Dawn Scott, and welcome to Arkansas Week. This week it is all about tourism. Tourism for the natural state has been on the rebound since the COVID pandemic, and it is making a comeback. Since 2022, there's been an increase in visitors and in spending, and we'll speak about the recent tourism data that was released. And to further enhance tourism, there's a master plan in the works for the future of the capital city's downtown area, and surrounding cities in central Arkansas are connecting it all together with a bike and walking trail network. Joining me to talk about what our state has to offer are three guests in studio. Katie Beck is the CEO for the Arkansas Hospitality Association. We also have Casey Covington, who's the executive director for Metroplan, and Gabe Holmstrom, who is the executive director for the Downtown Little Rock Partnership. And if each of you would just tell me what your organization does and the purpose.
Sure, and thank you so much for having me, Dawn. The Hospitality Association is the umbrella organization that represents travel, tourism, hospitality, hotels and lodging properties, and restaurants throughout the state. So I always say everything that brings joy and happiness to people's lives.
Yes.
So, and what we do at the association is serve as their voice. We focus a lot on advocacy and education and just providing resources to those businesses in any way that we can.
Casey, talk to us about Metroplan. What is your mission and what are you working toward?
So Metroplan, we are responsible for regional transportation planning throughout central Arkansas. We want to ensure that our citizens and our visitors have access to equitable transportation, to have easy access, whether they're in a car, whether they're on a bus, or whether they're on a bicycle trail connecting the region. And so that is our focus, is on transportation planning and also quality of life. It's important that we all live in central Arkansas, and we want to ensure that we have a high quality of life.
And Gabe, tell us about the Downtown Little Rock Partnership.
So the Downtown Little Rock Partnership is a nonprofit organization that focuses on the city core, on the downtown core. So this is not unique to Little Rock. Downtown organizations exist in cities all across the country and the world, for that matter. But we are focused every day on making downtown Little Rock a place where people want to live, work, play, and invest. And that can look a variety of different ways. We put together a lot of events. We focus on the public art. We look at policy changes that may need to be made, whether that's at the state level or at the local level, to enhance the quality of life and to make it an attractive place to do all of those things.
I know all three of you work together to help boost tourism and our quality of life, of course, here in central Arkansas. This is going to be a good discussion this half hour. But first, tourism. It is the state's second largest industry, and new tourism data was recently released with 48 million visitors to Arkansas in 2022. That is 17% higher than the previous year. Now, Department Secretary Shay Lewis attributed this increase to several factors. Take a listen.
In my view, it's for a couple of different reasons. First of all, we have really leaned into digital marketing, which allows us to target key audiences across the nation and around the world to maximize our reach and help us optimize future campaigns. And secondly, something that we know for sure is that a lot of visitors found us during the pandemic. What we are known as the natural state really came true and relevant during the pandemic, that helped many people gain a greater appreciation for the beautiful outdoors that we have, which continues today, and what Arkansas has in abundance.
You know, lodging saw the biggest increase, up 23% compared to 2021. Katie, if you would, talk about some of the key findings in that data.
So this has been such an exciting week in seeing that the industry grew over $1 billion in 2022, making it a $9.2 billion industry in the state.
Wow. And
the largest increase in that, the $1 billion increase was in food establishments and lodging properties. And in Arkansas, we have over 850 hotels, which equates to over 55,000 hotel rooms. But the industry is booming and we need more. In fact, I got an email yesterday from a community saying, we need a hotel. How can you help us? So that's exciting. It's wonderful to see in the state, and it's great to see that the industry is really rebounding from the pandemic. It went from 2019 record jobs numbers to 2020 being a decimated industry, and now surpassing those 2019 record numbers is just huge for the industry and wonderful for the state's economy.
It's really incredible. You know, the tourism industry employed just over 68,000 people. That represents about 4% of all jobs in the state. Delaney Thomas, who was recently appointed as the new tourism director by Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, says she looks forward to marketing the state.
I look forward to working together to grow Arkansas's second largest industry and to continue to establish the natural state as a national leader in outdoor recreation. I'm also excited to continue to tell Arkansas's amazing story to audiences across the country and world. I love Arkansans. I love the hospitality and tourism industry, and I have a deep appreciation for what our destinations do, our outfitters, and our frontline workers, what they do every single day to make sure our visitors have the best, most memorable experience possible.
Really interesting, especially the employment part. I'm going to start with you again, Katie. Just explain the reasoning for that boost in employment.
Sure, and it's these businesses that are new businesses, it's expansion of businesses, and it is creating those destination travel and hospitality businesses. It's that tourism experience economy that is making such a boom here in the state, creating so many more jobs within the industry.
And Casey, I want to get to you. Central Arkansas's planning organization, Metroplan, is preparing to build a 222-mile trail network to connect cities called, tell me if I'm correct here, Central Arkansas Regional Greenways.
It is, yeah.
Okay, tell us more about this.
Well, I think we should start with bicycle tourism is really taking off over the entire United States. People are getting out, they're wanting to go and ride long distances, they want to mountain bike, and Arkansas has been very successful in that. Northwest Arkansas has certainly attracted a number of regions. Central Arkansas, the Big Dam Bridge 100 is one of our biggest tourism events. It's bringing people in, they're riding bikes, they're going to our hotels, they're eating at our restaurants. And so bicycle tourism is a big part of the regional plan that we have. That 222-mile connection will also serve a transportation focus. And so for me that lives in Little Rock, if I want to commute to downtown, I have a bike facility to do so. And so that 220-mile bike network will connect all of our major communities from Conway to Cabot to Benton to Little Rock through that transportation network. And I believe it will help with tourism. Interestingly, Central Arkansas has a really unique destination because we have the Ouachitas that are on the west side of our region. We have the Ozarks, it's on the north side. We have the River Valley. And then on the east side, you have really the Delta. And so if somebody can come here, they can spend an afternoon riding 50 miles in the Delta on flat trails, and the next day they can be on a mountain bike riding in the Ouachitas or the Ozarks. And I think Central Arkansas is very uniquely placed to help build that bicycle culture that will help tourism and also help our citizens through quality of life and providing new transportation options.
You know, I read there are 6 corridors to be connected, and I do believe we have a map just to show the areas. If you'll just kind of go through, I know you mentioned Northwest, the Delta, but this is what it looks like here, Casey.
It is, and so there are 6 major connections. Some of those are fairly familiar. The Arkansas River Trail has certainly been one that the region has enjoyed that will connect the Maumelle Park as well to downtown. Also, we have Rattlesnake Ridge. All that area is going on, and I think is really an opportunity for us to draw tourism into that Maumelle Pinnacles area. We also have the Southwest Trail that's been getting a lot of press that will connect Little Rock to Hot Springs. It actually connects 2 national land parks through the national park and then through our Clinton Center as well as the at Central High School, which really does provide both that tourism opportunity as well as that opportunity for somebody that really wants to get out of the car and enjoy the natural environment that we live. The Fuse Bottoms is really a great section just south of the State Fair, just another big tourism that we just enjoyed. And that trail will actually go across there and really provide an opportunity for our citizens and visitors that want to see a very unique environment, which is an urban wetlands right through the center of our city.
Well, that brings me to you, Gabe. The Downtown Partnership is creating a master plan for downtown as well, which I imagine connects directly into what Casey's been talking about.
So absolutely, Casey has been involved at the early stages of the planning process, and so we're working with the city to develop a master plan for downtown Little Rock. This is something that we've never done in the capital city, so we're very fortunate to be able to take advantage of this opportunity. When you look at some of the other cities who have undergone the master plan process, and then you see where they are 5, 10, 15, 20 years later, you can really see the result of the progress of the plan that was laid out. So what does that mean? That's a question I get a lot, and it's a lot of things. So take for example the Arkansas River. We have this beautiful asset that runs right through the middle of our city, but yet we as a people tend to go to a lot of the different lakes. But if you go look at rivers in capital cities or major cities in some of these other states, they are full of recreational boating. So we have some of that, but how is that increased? Why is that not up to the level that you see in other states? And that's one thing that's going to be looked at. The streetscape. How streets flow, what does that look like, and down to the minutia of trash cans and street lights. And one of my favorite examples to talk about is if you go to the intersection of Capitol and Main at the core of our downtown and you look around, and here we are, we've got 5 different styles of street lights in one intersection.
It's true.
So how do we take a look at that? How do we make that more uniform and then develop a plan for adjusting these? And then how do we connect into these greenways and these trails? When you take a map of the trails and the protected bikeways in downtown Little Rock, it's interesting, and it's a little odd to see because you have a section here, and you have a section over here, and they're not connected. So at the end of this, several years down the road, hopefully these are all going to be connected, where somebody who lives in Soma or who lives in Stiff Station or who lives in East Village are going to be able to take a bike path to downtown and then go to some of these other neighborhoods, maybe go around the Big Dam Bridge and come back. But all of these things that everyone's talking about, it all works together, and it's so good to see that we have this interest from tourism for people coming here. We have the hotels and the convention center in downtown Little Rock, clearly. But we need to make sure that that is a place that is putting its best foot forward and being used in the highest and best way.
With the new Arts Center that's gone in, if you think of downtown and you think of many of the regions we go to, we often walk between those locations. And so with the Arts Center, we have the Clinton Library, you've got the Old State House. I think a goal for us at Metroplan and working through the Downtown Partnership is to make it an opportunity for somebody to come down there and park their car and could walk from one location to the next. They can enjoy the restaurants downtown, and that I think is an opportunity for us to promote tourism and promote people in that Downtown Partnership plan.
Well, it also just makes it easier for the people who live here as well, because it is disjointed to some degree. We tend to drive from place to place right now.
Well, and that's one of the unique things about Little Rock and about downtown Little Rock specifically. It's the only urban area in the entire state, right? So we, as you alluded to, we as a society and as a culture here in Arkansas are so accustomed to relying on our car to go wherever it is we want to go. But yet when we go to these bigger cities, we don't even question we're going to park the car and we're going to walk, or we're going to take Uber or take public transportation. Now, if somebody parks in the River Market and then they want to walk to the Arts Center, we need to make sure that there is a path that is clearly marked and clearly lit and identified, because in the grand scheme of things, you're talking about walking 7 blocks.
Right.
So how do we work on changing that culture and creating that community of walkability.
Yeah, and it makes it a more pleasant experience for the people who are visiting. I have a couple questions for you, Katie. Following up from what you said, there was a community that contacted you. They need a hotel. Are they in the network that we just showed, the map, the place where people are visiting? And then my second question is just what is really getting people here to the state?
Yes, they are, and that's part of the reason why is they're saying we are getting these visitors. We need to have lodging to house these visitors and to help enhance their visit to the state and the recreation activities that they're participating in. The lodging industry is just an incredible one throughout the state, and creating that hospitable environment. The nature of hospitality, it's Arkansas, it's Arkansans, and it's really showcasing Arkansas as a destination in the Mid-South. Which, I mean, working with you all and our partners throughout the state, it's an incredible thing to see that just rise in visitors to the state, but also really making it a destination throughout the country.
And we heard earlier in the program, too, that truly out of the pandemic, they saw Arkansas as the natural state, as a place to be outside that was safe during the pandemic. But now, really, they're liking it here. I mean, what is really attracting people, in your opinion?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're a hidden gem. People came to Arkansas, and a little bit of what Casey spoke about earlier is we have such a diverse beauty within the state, from the Buffalo River to the Ozarks to the Delta. It's an incredible state where you can partake in so many different types of recreation and feature, and we are able to help feature from the Hospitality Association the incredible cuisine that we offer too.
I hear that a lot from people. Maybe people who move away and then come, they say they miss, certain restaurants and certain food. But I'm curious what inspired the Trail Network. Was it just seeing that it was somewhat disjointed, not only in Little Rock, but across the state?
So certainly our board, which is made up of mayors and county judges, have looked at other regions, and we really went and benchmarked those locations, and all of those really successful southern cities. If you think of Austin, we think of upstate South Carolina, certainly Northwest Arkansas, they are providing that quality of life that is attracting residents. And it's really a circle. You attract residents, you build quality of life, you attract tourists, they stay in your area, and that's an ultimate goal. But in looking at those areas, I think there was a realization that if we were going to compete nationally, we had to do something to improve our quality of life and building opportunities for people to enjoy Central Arkansas and all of Arkansas. And trails are a part of that.
Is there a timeline for a completion of everything?
We are seeing projects really come to fruition really quickly. I can't give you a timeline. I will say that our board has committed $55 million over 10 years to build it. That's money that comes through Metroplan for transportation purposes, and while we're focused on transportation, I think there'll be additional money that will come through for recreational opportunities, hopefully tourism opportunities. But a couple of the projects that we're working on right now, the Southwest Trail was mentioned earlier. Pulaski County and Saline County are working on the first segment of that will be kind of through southwest Little Rock and into Saline County. That's moving along. Pulaski County bid its first section, so I think it'll probably go to construction here in the next couple of months. Another really unique opportunity is in the city of Benton. There's an old river bridge. It dates back into the 1800s that is currently being rehabbed. And it was originally used really probably for buggies and horses, and then it changed to cars, and now it's going to be converted to pedestrian and bicycle. And it'll connect into that downtown Benton, which is another really great downtown that has an opportunity to enhance tourism. And through that bridge location, it's going to, I think, provide a really unique opportunity for our Central Arkansans to enjoy our history, enjoy our transportation system and our natural environment, and celebrate all those great things that we enjoy.
Well, that's interesting because you don't necessarily think of Benton as an attraction or a place that you want to necessarily go visit, but it is becoming that, which feeds into, of course, hospitality.
Absolutely. In fact, I was in downtown Benton earlier this week to try out a new restaurant, and it's a lovely place, and I'm excited to hear those development projects in the works.
And I'm curious what areas of downtown are going to be incorporated into this plan as well.
Well, so there's been a lot of attention given to the East Village area of Little Rock, where you have the Clinton Library, and then the previous the headquarters of Heifer International, which was purchased by One Health earlier, I guess about last year, and then in their announcement with Lyon College, they're going to be bringing the first veterinary and the first dental school to the entire state of Arkansas, and that's going to be right in downtown Little Rock. So, one of the things that I keep saying is that, pay attention to where we are right now, but remember this in 3 years, because in 3 years from now, the big highway construction project is going to be done. You're going to have a dental and veterinary school that's going to bring 1,000 new people into downtown, into the east side of Little Rock, and then there's a massive $37 million development with art space where they're bringing in 60 live-work units for artists to come in. So, and then there's a new brewery coming in. So all of this activity, not to mention the new symphony building. So all of this activity is happening east of I-30 that is going to just create a snowball effect, if you will, for the rest of the city.
And I know there are some trails out that east way, but I know that's an area you're looking at to develop out as well.
It is. So there's the 630 has a corridor that's kind of partially there, and you have to hop back and forth. Rock Creek is probably one that starts on the west end, and really making those little connections can really be helpful in terms of building that route out. And that's a really probably productive route for our citizens because of all the employment. It touches UAMS, it touches Baptist, it touches St. Vincent, it touches the retail that's there at University, as well as the residential that's located along it. And so that's really a productive route that I think we'll see some early success on. We're in Conway. Conway, I believe it was last year, announced a pretty substantial Tiger grant in the $20 million range to build a bike facility through it. So that's actually going to be an enhancement to our trail system. I think Conway is going to be probably one of the leading communities in terms of being able to get that bike facility and bike networks built out in central Arkansas.
Casey, on that point, there's an innovation plan too, right, to conserve energy, protect the environment, and the community can actually get involved in this.
Yeah, so we're really excited about this. This was an opportunity that we were not expecting at the beginning of the year, but due to some Congress actions in D.C., we were able to partner with the state of Arkansas, with our counterpart in Northwest Arkansas, which is the Northwest Arkansas Planning Commission, and Fort Smith on an environment and innovation plan. And this is a plan for Arkansans to come to us and tell us what they want to see in terms of energy independence. What should we be doing to protect the environment that we have in Arkansas? And so we do have several opportunities for people to participate. Right now we have a survey that is out. We encourage people, if y'all can go to our website at www.metroplan.org, you can find it and an opportunity to connect and share your vision for how we continue to develop energy independence in central Arkansas and take steps to ensure that we're protecting the environment.
Yeah, our natural state.
Our natural state, absolutely.
We do have a couple of minutes left, and I do just want some final thoughts from each of you. How are the businesses doing in downtown? What other things can you add to the conversation, each of you? We'll start with you, Gabe.
So we've had the mention of the food attractions and the restaurants, and that's one of the things that we continually hear about Little Rock, is that we really hit above our weight when it comes to the variety of these independent restaurants that are unique to the area. Even in the past few years, we've had new restaurants added to the restaurant scene. People are excited about seeing that. On the office space, that's one of the big conversations with downtowns all across the country is everybody was hit very hard during the pandemic, and then with work from home, that's really impacted commercial real estate. Some areas are seeing that more negatively impacted than others, but overall we're in pretty good shape in downtown. One of the interesting takeaways with the consultants that are developing the master plan is that, hey, your residential occupancy of apartments is really high. Why aren't more apartments being built? Why aren't we creating or increasing the density of the people that live down here? So that's something that I think is going to continue to increase in the coming years. We're going to continue to increase the number of people who live downtown, who want that walkable pace of life.
We have about a minute left, so a few seconds from you on final thoughts. Casey?
Well, I'm really excited about the commitment of our Central Arkansas leadership. They were the ones that said we need a plan. It's not just sufficient to plan, but we're going to commit funding to it. So I want to compliment them, and I think with their leadership we will see success in our plan.
And you, Katie?
It's an incredibly exciting time for the entire state, and we are all fortunate to have leaders and the governor's administration who is on board, who are really spearheading this initiative to grow travel and tourism and hospitality throughout the state. So we're excited and to see what the future holds.
Katie Beck with the Hospitality Association, Casey Covington with Metroplan, and Gabe Holmstrom with the Downtown Little Rock Partnership. A great discussion this half hour. Thank you all for being with us. And that does it for Arkansas Week. Thanks for being here. I'm Dawn Scott. We'll see you next time.
Support for Arkansas Week provided by the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, the Arkansas Times, and Little Rock Public Radio.